Welcome back, gamers, to the only show that actually helps you win. Except for the dice. We bring you another episode of Tactics Talk, where Ed Sales and Austin Copeland go over what makes them such great Flames of War players. Now, introducing our hosts, Ed and Austin. You're gonna like the way they tactic. We guarantee it.
Well, Sean, thank you for that lovely intro. And I'm Austin Copeland here with Tactics Talk, and alongside me is...
Ed Sales.
Wow, Ed, that was almost scary.
Thank you.
Well, Ed, while you work out the frog in your throat, I want to give you a second chance, because the last time I didn't really lead it into you, and I kind of just blindsided you. But I've got another joke. Are you ready for this?
It doesn't involve a bear now, does it?
No bears. I promise you there's not a single bear in this joke.
All right, let's have it.
All right. Have you ever heard of the candle maker who didn't work on weekdays?
No.
Yeah, he only worked on weekends. Okay.
That was a little better.
I've been thinking about it. Not that I've been thinking about it for like the past 3 months, but...
You've had some time to work on it.
I've got another one if you really want to hear it.
We'll save it for next time.
Okay, we'll save it. So, Ed, what are we talking about today?
Well, Battlefront has put out what they're calling experimental missions. Some of these are actually rehashed from version 3 and have just been updated for version 4. But wow, some of these look very fun.
Well, I'm going to say some of them look interesting. There are 2 of them I don't think are very fun at all. But starting, though, with the experimental missions, the first one bypassed. I immediately thought that this was a rehash of the Polish special rule from Blitzkrieg, but it's not. It's a little bit different than that. But looking at the article, so it's played on the short table edges, kind of. The table is split up into quarters, and the attacker has one of the short table edges to attack from, while the defender chooses one of the opposing quarters to defend. Of all the missions, I think this is probably going to be the easiest one to defend, just because the area for objective markers is so small. It is an 8-inch bubble inside of one table quarter. So defending, I mean, that's more your forte, Ed. What do you think?
I think you got 2 different things that could go with this. First off, if you don't have recon to expand your deployment area, I think you could end up running into trouble. That's a very small box to defend from, and if your opponent has a lot of templates, you could end up being in a lot of trouble, especially because you can place pre-ranged markers in this mission. So, if you're playing against like the Su-76 Russian command card list, they can get 5 templates right off the bat. That's a lot of markers that are going to be going down your small deployment area. But you can get the recon to kind of expand out a little bit. But, you're also having deep... Or no, this is immediate reserves, yeah. So
yeah, this is immediate reserves. Like, overall, and your reserves come in on the corner, that back corner. So they come in right where you need them from the very beginning of the game. So I think overall, this is a pretty solid mission for defenders, which is something that we really don't see that often in the mission set right now.
I think it could go either way based on how you build your list. I think it's a good solid mission. I don't see any major downsides to it for either the attacker and defender. Like I said, I think it's a very small closed-in box. At the same token, you could have one platoon contest 2 objectives at the same time, and you could really pack them in there if that's what you want to do.
And that's when you start with that whole defense in depth, and the defender can deploy right up to the halfway mark. So you can put your units, you can have multiple lines of resistance, and the further back you get to the objectives, it's just going to get nasty. And then you start having tanks flanking. Attackers, I think, are going to have an interesting... You get an ambush as the defender. This is just a really good game for the defender. Now, to attack, what's really neat is there's that whole half the board that's open.
Yeah.
So for an attacker that can get a pretty decent recce move, now as the defender, you're going to have to defend from two different sides. So I think this is going to be one of my new favorite missions. Bypass is definitely something to look forward going to.
Yeah, and you make a good point on as the attacker using the recon to kind of shoot down that side of the table. This is one of those times where the defender, you're deploying first. You probably just want to use recon just to deploy to block that highway to hell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, with those fast moving lists that we see, you're going to be able to shoot reinforcements and not reinforcements, just the attack, and being able to start just that extra 16-20 inches from cross country dashing. That's a huge increase, especially for some fast tanks. And you'll be attacking from the backside. So
if you're the defender and you can pick your deployment area that's somewhere highly dense with terrain or even a small town or city, that could be a big, huge thing with these two objectives as well. Because you end up going against a tank list and you're sitting in buildings with one platoon contesting two objectives. That could be huge.
Mm-hmm. Moving to dogfight. Now, we talked about these missions a little bit before we started this podcast, and I think between the two of us, this is going to be our least favorite mission.
Yep.
Mostly because this is basically shake your opponent's hand at the beginning of the game and tell the attacker you win. Because, I don't know, Ed, I don't think there's a way for the defender to win this game.
This one is really puzzling to me, to be honest. I am noticing now that part of the scatter reserves, you can come in from the side instead of just you come in from that entire side of your deployment area, not the corner 6 inches from. But this really is kind of like a hasty attack or a no retreat type mission where one side is very lopsided in your ability to win. I just don't see a very strong chance for the defenders to win. It really seems like it's delay, and hope you can get your reserves in time.
But that's the thing. So the special rules for this mission, you get ambush as the defender, but you have deep, scattered, delayed reserves. And the way that the scatter works on the dice, 1 and 2 is the long side of the one end, 3 and 4 are your back edge on the defender, 5 and 6 are the other side. Yeah. So you've got to wait until turn 3 to even roll to see if you get reserves. And they are deep reserves, so you cannot have tank teams. You can only have the one tank team with front armor 3 or higher here.
Yeah.
On the table from the get-go. So if you are a tanker and you somehow get this mission as a defender, good luck. If you're an infantry player, good luck, because you're not going to get reserves for a long time. And your ambush, with the objective area being almost the entire side of your table, what are you going to defend? The left side, the right side?
Yeah, and
it's going to be really hard.
And both players get to deploy objectives. As defender, you're going to want to place it in the direct middle of your deployment zone, so you're not having, when your attacker places, it's not one end of the table to the next end, so you have a better chance to respond. Luckily, the national point level is 109 points. You get minefields, so that would give you 5 minefields in this mission, and I really feel like it's just delay in an attempt to get your reserves on the table on this one.
I mean, and the delay kind of works because the defender wins after the 6th turn. So, if you can keep them 8 inches away for 6 turns, you've got it. But in that same key, the attacker wins on, if they start their turn within 4 inches with no defending tanks. So they don't even have to wait 6 turns. So an aggressive player is going to line up to that 16-inch mark from the halfway and then just bum rush you because they have 3 turns where they're going to outnumber you. So this is going to be a hard mission. It's not going to be impossible. I think it's doable. It's just going to be a hard mission to defend. But I mean, we all play Flames of War. We know that the defender is a hard choice.
I don't understand the title for dogfight. The way the mission is set up doesn't strike to me as a dogfight. You think a dogfight is just going back and forth, no one getting an upper hand, just knocking the crap out of each other. I think bypass mission actually is a better fit for dogfight than this.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, Ed. Anyway, we'll see how this mission actually turns out, but if I was going to give this one the thumbs up or thumbs down, I think I'm going to have to give that one a hard pass.
Yeah.
But that leads us to our third mission, and this one I'm actually kind of really excited about. My favorite mission right now is Bridgehead, and Killing Ground is basically reverse Bridgehead.
Yep, I have already had a tournament that I announced, and these came out hours after I announced my tournament. I went back and started notifying people, hey, I'm changing round 3 to Killing Ground.
It's just so fun. The defender gets to surround the attacker. Now, you do have deep scattered delayed reserves on this one as well. However, the scatter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is all on the back edge of the field, right where the objectives are. So you can do some really cool deployment with your initial force to really slow the attacker down, and then you get your reserves. Even if they come on the back side, they're going to be close to where the objectives are. So it could be interesting, and you get minefields in this one too.
Yeah.
So you can really just box the attacker in.
This is one of those missions that gets really ugly from the get-go, and list building is going to play a big part of it. You have those 2 long deployment zones that run all the way down the side of the table for the defender. If you have the luxury, I would put an infantry platoon all the way up there near the attacker on either side, because that's going to force the attacker, if he's got like Nebelwolfers, any kind of artillery guns that are immobile, he's going to have to leave another unit behind to try to defend, and so your infantry just don't run up on it and just capture it really quickly in an assault.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Then you use the minefields to kind of close off one area. Just depending on how you built your list and how your opponent built your list, this is just one of those missions that's it is ugly from the get-go, and I love it.
I mean, you say if it's ugly from the get-go, the descriptor that Battlefront gave it, you have blundered into a killing ground, and the only way out is forward. Cut your way through the defenders to escape, and they nailed that on the head. You're going to have to claw your way to the objectives as the attacker on this one.
Yeah, and I think that depending on the list, the defender could be in trouble too, because it's deep scattered delayed reserve. So if you show up there with, an all tank force, the attacker's coming at you, and you're just going like, oh god, I hope they have slow moving tanks. They're not getting here anytime soon. But this is definitely like a defender's dream. This really is.
Oh, it really is. I mean, Bridgehead is one of my favorites, just to defend that little area, or to attack from that huge area. But this is going to make me really kind of maybe choose defend once in a while. Like, this is a really interesting mission. To see the role reversed. Same setup, but attacker in the small box. And there's no way you can recce out of that little box.
No.
You're stuck.
Yeah.
That's it. Your deployment area is it. And if you want to start all the way up at the front, like you were saying, you're going to leave those core level support behind. So do you give up your artillery? Do you give up your nebs? Do you give up, your slow moving equipment, or your anti-tank guns? 88s, the bigger guns like that. Do you leave those behind to their fate, or do you use them for a turn or two and hope you get a good bombardment?
Yeah, because honestly, what the best tactic a defender can use here is leaving a platoon all the way up in one of those corners, just to, make the attacker go, okay, if I push all my stuff forward but leave behind my artillery or my gun teams, they're going to be overrun. So they're going to have to leave, more stuff behind, and they're not going to be able to attack you with their full force. Or they may even make the mistake of attacking that one unit in the corner with their full force, which just buys you time to get your reserves in. I think it's going to be, like I said, this is one of those missions that you could play 20 times, and you're going to get a different result each time.
Every time. Now, something interesting with these missions is all 3 of them are the defender can only win at the 6th turn.
Yeah, I think they've realized that some of the missions where you can have to hold off to turn 8 or turn 9 sometimes just aren't realistic.
It's really not, especially with a 2 hour, 2.5 hour limit. Like I know there are some, I'll try when I'm the attacker to try to get to nine rounds, but sometimes that can be difficult. So
Yeah, it depends on your opponent, depends on the list you brought, depends on the list your opponent brought. But I think something that we've seen in our area, the trend is, most games are like 2.5 hours. I think a lot of people are having more fun with the 2 hour games, to
Yep.
be honest.
Get your game done quickly, and get to your next game.
Yep. And then get home in time for dinner with the family.
Well, with that, let us get to our next topic. And right now, as we are recording this, the Las Vegas Open is occurring right now in Las Vegas.
Yep.
On the West Coast. And just from the posts I've seen, we're seeing a lot of light horde spam type armies. And if social media has done anything for this game, it has proven to us that people are getting over the spam armies. Now, I know you and I have an interesting take on these. I kind of like my spam armies, but I also know they're really easy to beat. What about you, Ed? What do you think of these spam armies? And I guess our next topic, as we could title it, how do we beat the horde?
There's a couple different ways, right? I have seen people bring like the armored rifle horde, and I have wiped them off the table with L640 and armored car hordes. I have seen people take T-34 hordes and get removed off the table by, 5 to 8 Panzers. So, there's a couple of different ways to go about it.
My last game against Chris Jackson, who I have, by the way, beat 4 times in a row. Not that I'm counting or anything, but he played a German infantry list, very small model count, against my Stuart Swarm, and he came very close to killing every single model I brought on the table. Not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row. Able to squeak out 6-3s or a 7-2 because of a nice rush, and some really nice 5+ morale saves. But an anti-tank gun platoon dug in, being hit on 4s, not shooting until you're right up on top of them is, I swear, it's one of the hardest things to pull out.
Yeah, it kind of aggravates me sometimes that, like a Pac 38 costs the same as a Martyr, because I look at the mobility of a Martyr and go, I can do so much more with this. But the trend I'm starting to see is the gun teams are just so hard to kill because they're hard to hit. You got to pass firepower, and he's got to fail a save. So I really feel that taking your more experienced, your veteran units with good equipment and just being patient, not making those mistakes, not freaking out they're seeing the horde, and just picking stuff off one at a time is the way to go.
It really is. And, what's the best thing you can do to kill a gun team? Take artillery.
Yep.
Well, if you're playing a tank swarm, what's the one thing that you don't have points for?
Artillery.
So, and if you take 4 or 5 gun teams and an infantry platoon to put in front of each of them, now I've got to slog my way through infantry, and I've got to run into gun teams on the way in. Now, with my Honey Stewarts, I can probably pin everything with machine gun fire. However, killing them is going to be a little difficult. Not impossible, and I've done it, but it's difficult. And with the Lessons from the Front coming out a few iterations ago, where if I fail my counter assault and you push me back, every one of my models that is in that 8-inch bubble's gotta get pushed back. So one unlucky assault for me, even if I get in from your defensive fire, now I've got to push all my tanks back for an entire turn of assault because I failed one dice roll. So, you really hit it on the head. You just got to be patient. You cannot beat a horde by assaulting them, by moving across the field on them.
Yeah.
You've got to let them come to you. You've got to be judicious in, I'm going to kill this platoon, and then I'm going to kill that platoon, and then I'm going to kill this platoon. You got to pick and choose your target. And, I mean, back in the 1700s, you know, Bunker Hill, don't shoot until you see the whites of their eyes.
Yeah.
If you're a 7 to hit, guess what? You're a 7 to hit. You're not going to get 7s with machine guns that often.
Yeah, and they just got to do that just to survive a little longer, you know?
Exactly. And as the defender, or as a defending force against these horde armies, the longer you can survive, the exponential your chances of winning the game go up. The faster I can kill you with a horde, the faster I win. And not just the faster, but the more assured my victory is.
Yeah.
Because another thing with a horde, you can't bring that much artillery. The other thing with a horde, hordes do not have staying power. They don't hold objectives. They don't stick around in an extended firefight. Honey Stewards versus a tiger, I'm going to lose a Honey Steward every turn. You know? So the longer you can last, which sometimes means maybe you don't shoot next turn. That is always something that sometimes people forget. You don't have to shoot. Sometimes it is a better idea to not shoot at the enemy to force them to not kill you. Forces them to not kill you that next turn. So by not dying, smart objective placement, and force mitigation of losses, I think you're going to see your veteran armies, your non-horde armies, do a whole lot better against these little tankette lists that we see swarming around the field. The only thing that I can see that would be difficult to beat, and I'm still working on this one, is the Russian Valentine list. That one's going to be interesting to beat, just because for 24 points, 10
yeah.
Valentines, that's...
Or 9 points to get you 10 T-70s or the T-60s. That's a lot of cheap machine guns that are armored.
Yep. Oh, yeah, and the T-70 has that AT-7 gun.
Yeah.
So I'm still working on the strategy for that. But I do think if you wait for them to come to you, I mean, it's going to take a long time for Valentines to get across the field, but you'll wait for them to come to you, you'll let them come in for the assault. What's the one thing you don't want to do with assaults? Spread them out. You want a very small assault bubble. Well, what do 10 Valentines not have the luxury of having? A small assault bubble. So you let them come in, and then you just let them have it. You know, hit on 3 tanks. You're gonna evaporate them with Pack 40s or a Pack 40 ambush, something like that. Another really good strategy that people I don't think use very often is the maneuver option. So you see that you're going against a horde army. You know they're going to choose attack. They are not going to choose defend. They are going to choose to attack to get a mission where they force you to defend.
Yeah.
So honestly, one of the best options you as the quote-unquote defender can do is to either declare an attack order, or I think the better option is to declare a maneuver order. That gives you several chances that they might be the defender, the attack. If you declare attack, that gives you options to make them the defender with their horde. And let me tell you, there's something hordes don't do very well. Reserves.
No.
40%, that's how many platoons for me? A ridiculous amount. And now my horde's not so hordy. So counter-attacking by choosing an attack mission or a maneuver mission where you can force the enemy to defend against your attacking force. So if you have an objective to move towards, they've got to leave behind their force. They've got to split their force. And a horde is only as good as a horde. Once it's 2 or 3 platoons, it's no longer a horde. So whatever you can do to split the force up, be it by mission, by an ambush, by forcing them to go around a minefield, whatever you can do to split the horde up, division is power in this game. So Split them up, force them to defend, because hordes don't like doing that, and hold your fire. I think those are some of the best tips that I can give you. What do you think, Ed? Anything else?
I can't think of anything, to be honest. I think you covered it pretty well.
Well, that's great. That's going to kind of lead up to the tactics talks today. I hope we've given you something to mull over on this episode. But we do have 3 events coming up that we're really excited to share with you. As we all know, Cold Wars is coming up. Cold Wars is the Lancaster, Pennsylvania conference that goes on in March. We do have a Team Yankee event that No Dice No Glory is hosting. For more information on that, go to that website. It's going to be a doubles event where you'll be matched up with other people at the event to do kind of themed fights. It looks really fun. And also a Flames of War Late War doubles.
Yep.
Which doubles, if you've never played a doubles tournament, is a blast. Because not only do you have to worry about your own soldiers, but you got to worry about what the guy standing next to you is going to do too.
Yeah, and with the Late War doubles, Late War is going to be transitioning to the new point total. So between now and June is the time to play with all the stuff that you want to play with until the new books come out. Then you can't play with it in events so much anymore. So like me and my friend Brian, we have trains. We're looking to run 2 trains. And of course, all the comments you can get from that. So that should be interesting, but I think my chances to go are going to be slim with twins coming now.
I know. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Mitch never paid me the PayPal money for Strelkovy, so I think he said 5,000.
5,000.
So,
yep.
Maybe we can get Mitch to cough up some money.
Negative.
Negative. All right. Well, after that, here in Norfolk, Virginia, on February 23rd, Atlantis Comics and Games is hosting a Early War 1550. This is going to be a great tournament, as we have 16 or 17 confirmed, and then 3 or 4 more maybe.
Yep.
So this is looking to be a pretty nice sized tournament. Early War is a fun period with a lot of really fun toys running around the table. So that's going to be on February 23rd here in Norfolk, Virginia. And then, Ed, you have an event on the 20th of April.
Yeah, on April 20th, I have an event at Your Hobby Place. It's going to be 109 Mid-War. It's pretty much going to be following the Mid-War national rules and such like that. The only difference is there are set missions, with round 3 being Killing Ground, which is one of the new missions coming out, because I just feel like that sitting back and watching the games being played at Killing Ground is just going to be absolutely fun to watch. But it should be exciting. I've got a lot of guys coming out. This is their first time participating in a Flames of War event. So I'm really excited about that part.
Are you excited that you're taking new people to a Killing Ground, Ed?
Yeah, well, if they play well, they'll be matched up against a good opponent, and if they don't play well, then they'll be playing against someone who isn't familiar with it either.
Matched up against a good opponent.
Yeah.
No, I think it's going to be great. And so this is just for my assumption. This is a mid-war tournament. We're not doing any of the user-generated content, correct?
No, we are not.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure. All right. Well, I think that just about does it for us, Ed. I think that closes us out.
Yep. Thank you guys for joining us once again. If you have any comments, any feedback, let us know. If there's anything you'd like us to touch on, we'd be more than happy to do it. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks so much for joining the show tonight. Remember to follow us on Twitter at No Dice, No Glory, and keep the conversation going on NoDiceNoGlory.com, now featuring our own message boards. Have a great night, everybody.